It's Who's In, Who's Out on 97.3 ESPN FM, South Jersey's football station.
That we are, South Jersey's football station. Eagles and the Seahawks this Sunday. Pregame stuff coverage starts at 3. Merrill Mike, 4:25 kickoff, followed by Sunday Night Football. You're home for Thursday night, Sunday night, and Monday Night Football. Guys, who's in, who's out? These are the 12 teams we think are going to make the NFL playoffs. It is a evolving standings every single week. This thing seems to have its twists and turns. Let's see what the three of us have come up with this week. In the East, it's New England Patriots, a 2-game lead over the Dolphins, who have won 4 in a row. Let's go to the North, guys, where currently it's the Baltimore Ravens who lead the way over the Steelers and the Bengals. Pete Thompson, you're leading off.
I had the Baltimore Ravens last week, and I have the Baltimore Ravens again this week, Mike Gill. I think that they're on a bit of a tear, and I don't know. Pittsburgh played well against Dallas. You could put Pittsburgh in that spot, but I look at Baltimore as the team to beat in the North.
I'm going to go back to Pittsburgh because I like the way they played against the Dallas Cowboys, who are obviously a very good team. And you were talking about the Cowboys. Look at who the Baltimore Ravens have beaten. Nobody. So I'm not impressed.
They did beat the Steelers.
I'm not impressed. That's a good point. I'm not impressed by them. Still not impressed by them. Ben wasn't healthy in that game. That's my excuse for that. I think the Steelers find a way to get back in it.
I like the Steelers, too, and one of the reasons I like the Steelers, oddly enough, is because they've lost 4 in a row. I can't see that trend continuing. I think they turn it around. I thought you saw a little bit of that against Dallas the other day, that their offense with Ben is going to turn things around, and I think the Steelers win the North, which who would have thought? We thought that could be a 3-playoff team division, and now they're going to be struggling to have a team with a winning record represent them in the playoffs. In the South, you've got a Houston 6-3, Tennessee at 5-5, and Indy 4-5. 3 teams involved in play. John McMullen, start us off.
It's just like last week. I don't want to pick Houston, but I have to. They keep winning football games. They're 6-3. Brock Osweiler, I think, threw for 99 yards. They still find a way to win. Texans, because the Titans aren't quite ready yet.
Marcus Mariota did look good for the Titans again, but I'm with Houston. I had Houston last week, and I have Houston again this week. Winning ugly in the NFL is still winning. And, yes, they did not tear it up in the stat sheet, but they did come out with a higher number on the scoreboard. So
Mariota's never thrown a red zone interception in his 2 years. This guy's looking like the real deal, man. I mean, he looks like more than the gimmicky quarterback you thought he might be, that, the only offense he would work in the NFL was the Chip Kelly one. He looks like a guy who
helps when you have a running game.
It sure does. He doesn't have a lot of wideouts down there.
Throws a touchdown too.
Yes.
They don't have a lot of weapons at wideout down there. This is a team that, does not have great wide receivers. They're doing it with the running game, and he's throwing the ball very accurately. But I still like Houston just a little bit here. I don't know why either. I don't, their quarterback plays terrible. But
they do have a good defense.
They do have a good defense, and
even without J.J. Watt, because Jadeveon Clowney's playing at a high level. Whitney Merciless.
They're 3-0 in the division, 4-2 in the conference, and they're 5-0 at home. So Houston, until they, kind of show that, you can beat them in their building, which hasn't happened this year, and they were pretty good there last year. So I'm going to stick with Houston, the defending champions in the South, but that's probably one to watch as we get down the stretch here. In the West, I'll go Kansas City again. They've won 5 in a row. 17 out of 19. 4-0 at home, 2-0 in the division, plus 37. Gotta like everything about Kansas City.
Except maybe the stat line for Alex Smith, 178 yards and 1 interception against the Panthers. And
so what? You got Nick Foles.
They're winning ugly. I had to start Nick Foles in fantasy one week. That was the ultimate slap in the face. But I have Kansas City in my mix, Mike Gill, but I still have Oakland on top of the old you can't lose your position because of a bye week.
I'm a Paul Heyman guy, but more importantly, I'm an Andy Reid guy. All he does is win football games. The Kansas City Chiefs will win the AFC West.
He's coming to the dark side there, Pete Thompson.
Staying with Oakland.
In the wild card races, this is interesting because couple teams have now entered that conversation. Miami's won 4 in a row. You got the team in the North that doesn't win, will probably be around. You've also got the Tennessee Titans now at 5-5. But those two teams in the West, have they slipped out of your wild card bracket, Pete Thompson?
Not at all, Mike Gill. Kansas City, I don't have winning the division, but I certainly have them as my first wild card team. I think that they've been doing enough to get by each week, and I think Kansas City 7-2, poised to be a wild card team in the AFC. That my other wild card team is Denver. The Broncos find ways to win, and the wacky way that they won in New Orleans.
Yeah, how about
Sunday,
that? How about that for an ending?
That cost me a fantasy win.
Ooh,
yeah.
2-point conversion going the other way on the block kick. But yeah, it's a 3 playoff division. Oakland Raiders, Denver Broncos, they're your wild card teams in the AFC.
I've got Oakland and Denver as well for my wild card team. So there you go. Our look at the AFC. That South should be interesting. The West is still up for grab. The North is still up for grab. So who's in, who's out continues to evolve week to week here. Let's go to the NFC. We start from the West up. Seattle is 6-2-1, and I still got them at the top of the West. Arizona did win this week, but still 2 games separate those two teams. Pete Thompson?
It is tough to put a team that has a tie on its resume as the leader in the division, but 6-2-1. Seattle showed me enough against the Patriots. I had them there last week. I have them there again this week.
Yeah, it's the Seahawks. November started. All they do is win in November and December. Seahawks, NFC West champs.
In the South, it's a 3-team race kind of. Falcons 6-4, Tampa 4-5. The Saints are 4-5, and the defending champs at 3-6. Atlanta loses on the road. Was it enough to have them lose the top spot in the South? John McMullen.
No, they're still going to win a bad division. Not impressed by Atlanta. Very disappointed by that offensive performance, and I give all the credit in the world to the Eagles. But if you're the number one offense in the NFL, as they were coming in, you got to do better than that. So it was a very disappointing performance from their perspective. Just nobody to challenge them. So basically, by default, the Atlanta Falcons.
Peter Brooks.
I'd echo some of those comments. I think that Atlanta, I had them last week. I have Atlanta again this week. I think that's a one-game anomaly. I also think that you look at Tampa, oh, they won a game. Oh, yeah? Who'd they beat? The Bears. Okay. Let's qualify that. I mean, I'd say New Orleans' loss to Denver was more impressive than Tampa Bay's win against the Bears. So I still have Atlanta on top of the South.
I was not an Atlanta guy to begin with. I needed to be sold. They certainly didn't do a good job of doing that on Sunday.
Who do you go to?
Problem is, I don't know who I go to here. I don't know who do I go. Do I say the Saints fought hard enough against a good Denver team that makes me feel good?
I tell you, if they kicked that extra point, I might have given a different answer.
Exactly.
But they didn't.
So for one more week, I'm going to stick with Atlanta, but it's a real loose change right there. That one's flimsy.
Tenuous.
Eek. It's amazing that we're at this stage in the season and how many things can change.
Thing we do each week. Who's in, who's out. I enjoy this tremendously.
All right, in the North.
You're going to enjoy this one.
Oh, boy.
In the North, Detroit's on top. Minnesota's lost 4 in a row. The Packers have lost 3 in a row. The team with the best situation is Chicago. They've only lost 1 in a row next to the other 2 teams. Detroit, Minnesota, Green Bay. Who you got, Pete Thompson?
I have Detroit again. I have the Lions again, Mike Gill. I know that it's a shaky division up there. Minnesota, to me, looks in free fall. I see the video of Sam Bradford throwing his helmet down on the sidelines at FedEx Field after another devastating loss for the Vikings, and I think of 2 words, dumpster fire. So
they finally cut Blair Walsh.
They did do that today, yes.
Kicking notes.
I like when you throw.
Yeah, how come you didn't bring that up?
Because I don't always, contrary to popular belief, talk about the kickers. And it's in my 10 tweets.
Oh, I ruined it. I'm
That's
sorry,
all right, John.
I'm sorry.
I didn't coordinate with you before.
The only thing the NFC North has is Aaron Rodgers. So coming off, what did they give up? 47 points in Tennessee. I'm still going with the Green Bay Packers to win the NFC North.
I'm still going Minnesota, similar to the reason why I went Pittsburgh. They've lost 4 in a row. I think they've got good enough coaching staff to figure out what the heck they need to do to change some things.
I'm starting to question Zim for the first time.
Green Bay
still got a
at
good defense.
Washington, Green Bay at Philadelphia. And then
That's been the most important part of the Minnesota free fall, the most disappointing part. Lost in all the problems with the offensive line, the running game. Defense has not been good.
No, you're right. But that being said, they've given up 152. The next closest in the division is 206. So they're still 50 better than everybody else.
They haven't given up 47, but they also don't have Aaron Rodgers.
So Minnesota, we've all got 3 different teams in the North. That's very interesting. In the East, Dallas reigns for all 3, I would assume.
I did have Minnesota as a wild card team last week. I feel the need to note that.
Yeah, Dallas, I mean.
Here I said they were a wild card team.
8-1, Dallas, legitimate Super Bowl contender. Yeah, you have to keep them on top right now.
Okay, we got 2 wild card spots up for grab. The contenders, New York, Washington, Philadelphia. The loser in the North, Tampa, New Orleans, flimsy Carolina, Arizona, flimsy Rams, who just went to Jared Goff to try to save their season. The only 2 teams that are really out of this are the Bears and the 49ers. Guys, 2 teams.
Chip might still get it going.
Giants and Redskins for me.
Pete Thompson goes Giants, Redskins. John McMullen.
I'm going Redskins. I've been on that wagon since the beginning of the season. And I'm also going Arizona Cardinals. I think they'll finally get it back. They'll beat Minnesota this week. That'll knock them back.
That was an NFC Championship game potential, at some point. Minnesota, Arizona.
Yeah.
And now you're looking at 2 teams that the loser of this game could be.
Boop.
I didn't know they had 2 teams played this week, by the way.
And as
That's
I
a good matchup.
I mentioned earlier in the show, I think the Giants are going to come back to the pack. So I think Washington, Arizona.
Arizona might beat the Vikings, but then they go to Atlanta and win. I don't know that happens.
Yeah.
I've got New York. I've got New York, Philadelphia. I think the game between Philadelphia and Washington could be the difference maker between those 2 teams.
Remember the tie.
And
fly, Eagles, fly.
Philly, Washington in 3-4 weeks from now, those 2 teams play the rematch. And if Philly wins that game, I think that's the difference maker between Philly and Washington. So I'll go Philly and New York as my 2 wild card teams here in the Who's In, Who's Out on the Sports Bash 97.3.